road trip. The Mets have 22 games remaining. 17 of them will be right home in Citi Field. At Citi Field in New York, Pick Sports presents New York Mets baseball tonight. The Mets play the Philadelphia Phillies. Tonight's game is brought to you in high definition by Verizon Fios. Call 1-888-GET-FIOS. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets start a 10-game homestand with the first of 3 against the first-place Philadelphia Phillies. Bad news for the Mets today. Johan Santana has been diagnosed with a torn anterior capsule in his left shoulder. It's going to require surgery. He's going to get a second opinion from James Andrews down in Birmingham, but sometime in the next week or two, Santana's going to have surgery on his shoulder. Now, this is not a common injury for pitchers, so there's a bit of uncertainty about what the prognosis is going to be.
You know, capsule, you could really replace that word with ligament. What has happened over time, it's been frayed, and now they finally have found a tear. It's in the front of the shoulder. Remember, he was complaining about his pectoral muscle being sore, but it really was his shoulder. So I think even more importantly now, knee surgery after the season in 2008, 2009, of course, with the elbow surgery, and now seeing his baseball mortality with his front of the shoulder, hoping that the optimism is you just don't know what's going to happen with this injury, but a sad day here at Citi Field.
And with 3 more years remaining on Santana's 6-year contract, the Mets are certainly hoping for the best. Now the Phillies come to town, first place in the National League East, but it wasn't always thus. 7 weeks ago, they were really struggling, and despite some injuries to key players, they have really turned it on.
Well, they're a team historically that have great second-half finishes since 2007. It's the same bunch out here. You know, they lead the National League in winning percentage. They're second only to the Yankees. And since the All-Star break this year, they are second in Major League Baseball in wins. So this is a team that lost Howard, that lost Utley, that lost Rollins. He's not in the lineup tonight. Polanco, Victorino, and they found a way, and they seem to find a way to win.
As for the Mets, they will get Jose Reyes back in the lineup tonight after missing 13 games most recently with his oblique injury. He'll get back in the lineup just in time to face Roy Halladay.
Yeah, no sidestepping here. Halladay has been outstanding. 17 wins, 8 complete games, 3 shutouts, including a perfect game against the Braves, as he's been outstanding, especially against the NL East, where he's 10-1.
On the other side for the Mets, Henry Mejia, his second Major League start and his first here at Citi Field.
Well, the Mets faithful were able to watch him pitch 30 relief appearances, some good, some bad. His last start against the Cubs, some good, some bad. Hoping that he really can turn it around in the wake of the Santana injury. All of these young pitchers have to step to the forefront.
Big task for Mejia tonight as he takes on the first place Phillies and Roy Halladay. Mets live without Santana for the rest of the way. Mets and Phillies coming up on Picks. Steelers. By Delta, keep climbing. By Bank of America. By HBO's new series, Boardwalk Empire. Stay tuned for a sneak peek during tonight's game. By Verizon, the signal is yours. Wield it to transmit anything you want. And by Mazda, Zoom Zoom. Visit the official online shop of the Mets at Mets.com. Browse the largest selection of official gear, including the latest apparel, nostalgic memorabilia, and authentic classics for the whole family. Get your gear from the official source, the Mets.com shop, except no substitutes. Who's Hot is brought to you by McDonald's, who invite you to try their all-new fruit smoothies. And no surprise that the top two are Rockies, who have won 7 in a row. They won on a steal of home yesterday. Carlos Gonzalez bidding for a triple crown. Troy Tulowitzki, red hot down the stretch, had the game-tying home run yesterday against the Reds. And then there's Felix Hernandez, who probably should be the front runner for the American League Cy Young. Probably won't be because he doesn't have the one-loss record. But look at that. 45 innings, 1 earned run, 57 strikeouts in his last 6 starts. It's the Mets and the Phillies as the Mets are back in town. First pitch coming right up. .com.
Well, Mejia continued to have success with the lefties. I think he needs to establish his fastball. And, well, any great pitcher, what do you got to do? If you don't get him early, see you later, pal. So, and also throw a wrench into the pennant race and be a spoiler.
The lineups are brought to you by Toyota, where great deals are happening now. Phillies starting lineup is mostly intact. Jimmy Rollins still out with a hamstring injury that he suffered on Wednesday in the Phillies' last game. So Wilson Valdez gets the start at shortstop. Chase Utley still trying to get his bat going, but Ryan Howard, now back from the ankle injury, comes off a 6 RBI game on Wednesday, as the Phillies start to heat up for the home stretch with a 1-game lead in the East and taking on the 20-year-old Henry Mejia tonight.
Henry Mejia, in his last 3 starts in AAA, he was dominant. 22 innings pitched, only gave up an earned run, only gave up 9 hits and 21 strikeouts, but not so dominant in his first start in Wrigley Field, where he gave up 4 runs over 5 innings of work.
And look at the defense is brought to you by Time Warner Cables, all the best triple play. As you can see, Duda is going to get extended playing time. Reyes, hey, back in the lineup. First time since August 26th. Jose's been chomping at the bit. Well, he's back in the lineup.
Shane Victorino will lead things off for the Phils. Victorino hit it at .260, 17 home runs, 62 runs batted in, but has really struggled as a left-hand batter this year, hitting just .237 from this side of the plate. Henry Mejia set to go for his first Citi Field start. And Victorino takes a blazer for a strike, 0-1.
Ronnie, I didn't know if you watched the game when Mejia pitched when we were in Chicago. I just really felt that he was throwing too many changeups and not establishing his fastball.
Yeah, changeups and curveballs. I think if you're a young pitcher, some point you have to command the fastball to both sides of the plate. We'll see if Mejia can do it tonight.
And you wonder also, was the fact that the wind was blowing out at Wrigley Field, did that have an impact on his pitch selection? Did he feel like he had to fool people a little more?
Yeah, no one wants to give up home runs, but the best way to do that is get ahead in the count. He wasn't able to do that with any regularity at Wrigley Field.
0-2 to Victorino, and it's outside.
See, there's a ball that totally wants inside. It missed wild outside. So what he can do, he can come back inside again.
He made 30 relief outings after making the opening day roster. Sent down in June to stretch out his arm. Shortly thereafter, hurt his shoulder, had to be set back for a few weeks, but then pitched brilliantly down in the minor leagues. 5 minor league starts in all, and he was pitching lights out before he was called up. And now a full count to Victorino after getting ahead 0-2.
Ronnie made a good point, Gare, about how totally was set up inside and missed away, and he can go back in again. You know why? Because the hitter doesn't know he's the catcher set up inside, and that was the intent of the pitch.
He better not know.
Unless he's peeking.
3-2, and Victorino wastes the fastball.
Minnesota, my goodness, 8-0. First inning. No, it's 0-0. I'm going blind. Don't pay attention, folks.
It's the Phantom 8. Slapped down to third. Right playing wide of the bag. Throws out the speedy Victorino for the first down of the night.
If Minnesota scores 8 in the first, though, I'm leaving the booth.
Don't say that you're going to walk to Minnesota or anything.
No,
that's been done before.
Done poorly, by the way.
It's all zeros, we promise.
Thanks, guys. I don't have to put my glasses on, but the truck really has my back.
Here's Placido Polanco having a wonderful year. 7th in the National League in batting, hitting at .308, and playing despite a bone chip in his elbow. It was incorrectly described this week as a fracture. It's not that. But he's got a bone chip in that left elbow, and you see him with the guard on there. He was hit early in the season by a Tim Hudson fastball, and it's been bothering him ever since, but not enough to really drive him out of the lineup, except for a brief stint on the DL in June.
Yeah, they describe it as a bone chip or a bone spur, and what happens is that you have pieces of bone that kind of travel inside of your arm. Sometimes it hits a nerve, and that's when you go through the most pain.
Polanco has not only filled that number 2 spot in the batting order for the Phillies, but he's also played a wonderful third base, making the transition after winning a Gold Glove at second base with Detroit last year.
Placido Polanco is a winning ball player. When you watch him, he knows how to drive runs in. He knows how to get the guy over.
The only thing that in his game that he lacks is a lot of speed, but he handles the bat well. He advances runners. He's really been the most consistent hitter on this Philly lineup, hitting .308. He's been consistent all year.
You know, if Ruben Tejada ever wanted to model his game after someone, Polanco would be the guy. He could do it.
Very good. Absolutely.
Little blooper behind first base, and Ike Davis is back there to grab it. A breeze blowing in from left field, pushing that ball from the first base line toward the stands. And that's the second out.
Well, you know, we've gotten into September. We're going to have some cooler weather, and you know what it's like here in April. So when it gets cooler, even more difficult to hit the ball out in Citi Field.
Boy, as an everyday player, you just love, Gary, playing in this weather. When it turns like this and it starts getting, it's still nice and warm during the day, but cool at night, it is just, I mean, like a shot in the arm.
So here's Chase Utley, who has suddenly gotten his bat going. Over the last 10 games, 13 runs batted in and a .368 average. Phillies have been waiting for
Utley and Howard to heat up, coming back from their respective injury problems. Utley is going, and Howard is really going. 1-1 to Utley.
Can you say that, Gary? And Utley's not red hot, and they're 8-2 in their last 10 games. So I mean, they've been pitching well. Hamels has been unbelievable the last couple of months.
Utley is one of those guys with a very short take back, so quick inside, just reluctant to pitch him inside.
I also think, Keith, he's a pretty intelligent hitter. To me, he looks inside occasionally.
Stands on top of the plate, if I remember correctly. We haven't seen these guys in a while.
Well, the last time the Mets played the Phillies, neither Utley nor Howard was in the lineup. And the Phils took 2 out of 3 here at Citi Field.
Everybody deep in the box. He's on top. That's close to the plate, folks.
2-1 for Mejia. And it's pulled just foul. Keith, Twins didn't score in the first.
All right. I'll wear my glasses.
We'll keep track of the scoreboard for you, I promise.
I can see it like that.
I could have swore they had 8 points. 8 on the board. He's almost out of the box. I guess the rule is you got to be on that chalk somewhere. So he's as deep as he can possibly get.
2-2. And he struck him out. 95 miles an hour from Henry Mejia, and a very successful opening inning. Sets the Phillies down 1-2-3. Now the Mets up against Halladay. Check out the Mets starting lineup, brought to you by Toyota, where great deals are happening now. Jose Reyes back in the lineup after missing 13 consecutive games. Ike Davis stays in the cleanup spot off his good road trip. Josh Tolley, Lucas Duda, Luis Hernandez, 6, 7, and 8. As the Mets face against Roy Halladay for the 4th time this year.
Well, 3 of those complete games were shutouts. 8 complete games on the year. 1 a perfect game, of course. Less hits than innings pitched, and a phenomenal 28 walks and 196 strikeouts. 21 home runs, maybe the only Achilles heel.
Reyes to lead things off, playing for the first time since the 26th of August. Since Reyes first injured his oblique in Puerto Rico on June the 29th, he's played only 39 of 63 games, and some of those, remember when he first came back, were batting right-handed against right-handed pitching. So you can really say that Reyes' season has been affected for 2.5 months by that initial injury, which never really healed, and has kept him out now for the last 13 games.
Interesting right here, Halladay and Ruiz on the second pitch of the game having to have a conference. And Ruiz, if we remember, used a series of signs here at Citi Field, and maybe Halladay wants to get it straight before they proceed.
The Mets began that in Philadelphia using multiple signs after they suspected the Phillies were stealing signs a few years ago. Reyes turns on one and pulls a foul, 0-2.
And it's easy to, if you watch the game enough, to pick up signs. I already know what sign they're using. Can't say it, of course, on the TV, because Ruiz used a series of signs, and the only sign he gave for the pitch he threw was on the you-know-what.
Yes, inside corner. And he tapped his inside thigh, too, so for the inside strike. But a hitter can't see that.
Fastball in tight. It's 2-2 to Jose, who's had good numbers against Halladay in the past. 7 hits and 15 at bats. 4th start for Halladay against the Mets. In 2 of the first 3, he didn't allow a run. He got hit pretty well early in 1 start as Reyes takes a called 3rd strike, but still beat the Mets anyway.
Well set up by everything in, Ronnie.
There's a great lag in his motion, and then the follow through. That ball was never left the outside corner. Right from his hand to Ruiz, never left the black of the outside corner.
Well, he pounded Jose 3 of the 4 pitches inside and then went away. And we'll take a look at the defense brought to you by Time Warner Cable's All the Best Triple Play. As you can see, Polanco steady glove at 3rd.
Tapper by Pagan. Ruiz has to go out to get it, and the quick toss just in time to get Pagan for the 2nd out.
Well, nice athletic play here by Mr. Ruiz. He's got to come up out of the squat, and with Pagan's speed, he's got to barehand it. Nicely done. Howard with a nice inside target.
A play any third baseman would envy right there by Ruiz.
Now Carlos Beltran has begun to get his back cooking. Had a good road trip. Takes the curveball for ball 1. During the 10-game road trip, Beltran was hitting balls with more authority left-handed than he has since he came back. Howard with the play behind the bag and just beats Beltran, who was hustling down the line to end the inning. Quick inning for Halladay. He threw just 7 pitches. And by that much, they get Beltran. Climbing. National TV tomorrow. Day game on Sunday on SNY. That'll be John Neese against Roy Oswalt. Then the Pirates come in for 4 and the Braves for 3 to complete this 10-game homestand.
It was a flip-flop, right? Pelfrey went to Saturday and Neese to Sunday.
Gives Neese an extra day of rest. Ryan Howard lays things off in the 2nd inning and takes a strike from Henry Mejia. Howard coming off a 6 RBI performance against the Marlins on Wednesday. His 2nd 6 RBI game of the year. He's the only player in the majors this year to have more than one 6 RBI game.
Is there anyone other than maybe Pujols, who's any more automatic than Ryan Howard every year. Not only does he do it all season long, but he always gets hot in September. Is Jason Worth on deck?
Got off to a very slow start this year, but he hasn't revved up. Of course, missed a good chunk of August because of that sprained ankle. He's been back about 3 weeks now, and it's taken a while, but he's got it going. And even despite missing that time, he's got 95 RBIs, 4th in the National League. Mejia keeping it away from him, 2-2.
That's going to be interesting. Sorry, Keith. You see the numbers, fewest games for 250 home runs. Our own Ralph Kiner second on that list. But the wind blowing in from left, Howard has all that power to left field. It'll be interesting if he'll be able to hit it through that wind.
He's another one of those hitters. Watch his front foot. Doesn't turn and face the pitcher. He locks his swing up. If ever he learns to release that front foot and let it point straight towards the pitcher with his swing, he'll be like McCovey. He'll hit balls, I mean, out of sight. As he swings, he locks his hips a lot. And the Yankees really exploited it last year in the World Series by pitching him up and in, Ronnie.
3-2 from Mejia. Pulled into the shift. Luis Hernandez shuffles over, bobbles, but is still able to get Howard for the first out.
So we'll take a look at the swing and watch the front foot. It's a little better this time. A little more pointed, and that's much better. I've seen him almost where he's at right angles to the path of the ball. He's very strong. He can get away with it. He's just such a strong man. A little 150, 160 pounder couldn't do that.
By the way, that's a long throw for a second baseman.
Well, I think what happens to those second basemen, they panic because they're waiting for the ball such a long time.
Now Jason Worth, and also they're used to playing the ball off the dirt.
Yeah.
And now they're playing ground balls off the grass. It's different.
And have you ever seen during batting practice when you play a team like this taking ground balls way back on, they never do it?
Might be a good idea.
Oh, guys, newsflash. It was Tampa Bay. I made a mistake. They got 6 in the first.
Yes, they did. That's correct. They put up 6 at Toronto in the first inning. Ben Zobrist with a home run. Jason Worth is having one of the strangest years of any players in the majors. He's in the top 10 in the league in on base. He's just outside the top 10 in the league in slugging percentage. Top 10 in runs scored and walks, and top 5 in extra base hits. But he's hitting 161 with runners in scoring position, and so he has just 66 runs batted in. A guy who should probably have close to 100 by now.
Did you see what his batting average is with runners in scoring position and 2 outs? It's over 60 at bats. It's .098. He's not even on the interstate.
Leads the league in doubles. I mean, it's just incredible what he's been able to do. I mean, his raw numbers are fantastic, but his production has been nil. Shoots it to the right side and past Hernandez. And the Phillies have their first base runner of the game. Hernandez playing up the middle against Worth and couldn't get back for it.
He goes the other way well. He looks out there and he has an idea of what he's doing. No matter what kind of year he's having, to me, he's a winning ball player. Phillies have a lot of winning ball players. I mean, look at Wilson Valdez, was with the Mets last year, didn't do much. He comes over to the Phillies, is surrounded by good players, and Charlie Manuel told me he's done a heck of a job for the ball club.
Although I will say in his defense, I thought he played pretty well for the Mets last year in what he was asked to do. But you're right, Keith. He has played a lot of different positions: second base, third base, and shortstop.
Charlie Manuel said he saved him when Rollins went down.
There's Raul Ibanez, who's been struggling lately. Here's the thing about the Phillies, though. I mean, Ibanez hasn't had a great year, but during the period of time when Utley and Howard went out, he had his best months. And that's what the Phillies do. They have that kind of a team. I mean, it's not coincidence, I don't think, that Ibanez played better when the other big guns were down.
Played well then too. Ruiz had probably his best month in the big leagues.
Ruiz is a nice little player.
He is. Probably the most athletic catcher in the major leagues, and the best at blocking balls in the dirt, in my opinion.
I feel like this is kind of a Phillies broadcast tonight. We'll
be off it here in a second.
It's the first game. We've got to fill in the fans.
They appreciate that. Some of them. 2-1 to Ibanez.
That's interesting with Mejia. He's got that cutting motion on his fastball. When he gets to the point where he can zone that inside to left-handed hitters, he could have Mariano kind of success inside.
Ibanez has that real strange angle of his head when he swings at a ball. It's almost like a golfer staying down the ball to the very end. Watch the awkward angle of his. That's a Charlie Lau school right there.
Yeah. Keep your head down, release with one hand. You saw those backwards numbers from Mejia, how dominant he's been against the lefties, and how the righties have hit well over 300 against him.
Well, we saw Worth with his hit. We saw early in the season the Marlins against Mejia. If you're a right-handed hitter, you can really sit middle of the plate away, and if you hit the ball that way, you're going to have some success against Mejia.
Third full count already for Henry. First 6 batters that he's faced. 1 out. Worth with some speed at first base. Not going. Ibanez dribbles one up the line. I can't get there before it goes foul.
Well, I've played on a few losing teams early in my career, and these were the games when you're playing it out that you look forward to. You know, having a say in making things difficult for the teams that are battling it out. How many times do you see a team come in, a contending team, you take the second division team takes the series, another second division team comes in behind them, and they lose, they get swept by it. You know, they just lose all the air comes out of the tire.
On the other hand, what do you think the impact is on this team with the news today that Santana again has had his season shortened by injury?
Well, I think I've never seen a sadness over the press room today, or the media room. Not only Johan was there, but also Omar and Jerry Manuel. And Jerry, who had to shut Santana down, take him out of the rotation, and now they found with the MRI the tear in his anterior capsule.
Worth runs this time, and Ibanez fouls him.
But also looking at Omar at the stage too, he was genuinely sad, and watching Johan leave from that press conference. You know, there's all pitchers feel it, all ball players feel it. You know, there's a baseball mortality to how long you're going to play, and with an operation for the 3rd successive year for Johan, he's got to be shaking his head, because that means another full winter of rehabilitation, another full winter of getting yourself into a place where you can be ready for spring training.
Worth runs, and Ibanez lines one to left. Duda misplays it. Worth on his way to third as Duda retrieves. Sam Palazzo will hold him there. And in at second base with a gift double is Raul Ibanez. Lucas Duda's first game at Citi Field. First ball hit to him, and he misplayed it.
Well, it's the ball hit right at you that's always the most difficult, the line drive, and he just misplayed it. 2 steps in, and that's all the ball was hit hard. And you see the double 2 to 4 steps in, it was too late. And Duda really has been playing a very good left field.
I think one of the things, Keith, that really is a newness to outfielders when they come to the big leagues is the carry that some of these strong hitters have, and certainly Ibanez does carry that ball out to left field.
So that puts the Phillies in prime position with Carlos Ruiz coming up. Ruiz, who has had all manner of big hits for the Phillies this year, hitting a .289 on the season.
And Mets coming in at the corners, playing back middle infielders. And we've seen the Mets come in early a lot with Jerry Manuel as the skipper early in the ball games, bringing the infield in. A guy like Roy Halladay out there could throw a gem any day of the week. You know, it's a little bit surprising. I mean, I agree with it. I don't want to give up 2 runs here. I'd play the whole infield back, to be honest with you, and concede 1 run.
Hit toward the right side and through for a base hit. Worth scores. Ibanez held at third as Tolle has to go up the line to stop that errant throw by Pagan. It's an RBI single for Ruiz to put the Phillies up 1-0.
Taking the right-handers going the other way. Slider, just kind of a flat slider. And that's just good hitting right there. And Ronnie, one of your pet peeves coming up here.
Yeah, the game plan is to hit the ball the other way. Henry Mejia was not backing up. I think that's what you're alluding to,
yep.
Keith. And you know, that's something you have to do when you're not. I mean, this is not the first time I'm sure this has happened. This might have happened in the minor leagues. Okay, you got to go to first base, okay, because you never know, you might have to cover first, but you got to bust your tail as hard as you can and get to the cement, to the brick back there, in case that ball goes past Tolle.
Tolle did a nice job to keep it from getting back there and saving a run for the ball. Now Wilson Valdez starting for the 72nd time this year, so he has started more than half the games for the Phillies, with injuries to Utley and to Rollins and to Blanco. Valdez hits a chopper. The tag is missed. The out is made at first, but the run is going to count because they did not turn the forced double play. Ibanez comes in to score. 2-run score in the inning for the Phillies. The Mets turn the double play, but because the tag was not made initially by Hernandez, the run scores before the out's made at first. First run of the game brought to you by Ram award-winning trucks. Phillies post a pair and lead 2-0. Inning. Mike Davis will lead things off for New York. Davis strokes one foul off to the left, 0-1.
Ike attacking the first pitch.
David Wright on deck, and then Josh Tolle. Ike had a terrific road trip despite going 0 for 4 on Wednesday in the last game of the trip. 3 home runs in his last 5 games. Pops this one up. And back comes Ruiz. One away. On that double play that ended the top of the second inning, just to clarify, the run counts because once the play is made to first, the force is off, and then it's a timing play if the run crosses a play before the tag is made. So if you're the second baseman on that play, Luis Hernandez, how do you make that play better?
Well, it depends on the situation. He's got to make the tag. I thought he could have made the tag, then the throw, and for some reason he pulled up. And what made the whole thing crazy as it was is that it was just poor base running by Carlos Ruiz. Ruiz has got to knock the second baseman down, knock him into the next county,
which would be Brooklyn.
There you go.
Kings County. Here you go.
Nassau. Here we go. Now tag him. He's out of the baseline too. That could have been.
See, now that's the thing.
That could have been a call out of the baseline,
which would have taken the run off the board.
Exactly. That was a legitimate argument. And you'll see the timing of it now. Once he stops, he had him.
Oh, see how much time he has? Valdez not even close to that. And he could have went one or two more steps, and that would have definitely got him out of the baseline. And plays over, and you only give up one run.
Yep.
No argument from the Mets, by the way, about that call, because if they do call him for running out of the baseline, it takes the run away.
Yep.
1-2 to David Wright. And the breaking ball for a call third strike, so Halladay has his second strikeout. He's retired the first 5 minutes of facing.
This is a curveball to hit right here, Ronnie. It's a lot of plate.
I think what happens for David is the one curveball that really stuns him is the ball that starts at him and then breaks over the middle of the plate.
That's a hanger.
Yeah, that's the one you should be able to handle, but it just got him frozen just for long enough to strike him out.
Here's Josh Tolley hitting 6th in the order tonight.
What was that?
That's his two-seamer.
Geez, that had a lot of movement.
By the way, he's pretty good. He's got a lot of weapons.
I'd love to face him. Just to see. You know, you can look on TV, but to have the actual in the box and face all the great pitchers, I would love to get in the box and test him.
How about when you bring a guy over to try to help you win in your division? Only 10-1. And the loss was he pitched 8 innings against the Marlins, gave up 1 run. That was the loss.
Let's see, 10-1, including a perfect game against Florida.
1.13 earned run average.
3-0 against the Mets, and Tolley is the first Met to reach base. A 2-out single for Josh.
Well, a little backdoor slider.
But Keith, his front foot also is kind of not at a right angle, but not open.
He kind of follows through in that swing like Pete Rose's backswing.
Well, here's Lucas Duda, who did not start the last game in Washington despite a right-hander going. Terry Emanuel just felt as though he needed to back off Duda a little bit. He had been struggling so badly. 1 for 22.
Ron, when you're facing a team in September that's also ran here and you're fighting for a pennant, you got a 1-game lead. Do you feel a little uncertain facing someone you never faced before?
Yeah, you definitely feel uncertain because going into the game, no one knows what to tell you about this guy. Now, there are minor league guys that faced him, but the numbers tell you one thing. If you center one, he's going to crush it. So, yeah, you have apprehension, but when you're a guy like Halladay, he throws strikes to everyone, so it doesn't matter. Halladay, you will get your hits, but he won't walk anybody. And if you watch him when he needs to strike out, now he has 196. He's going to go over 400 here probably tonight. But he gets the kind of strikeouts. When you talk about base runners, can they steal a base when they have to? Can they strike out a guy when he needs to? And he can.
Nowadays, is averaging 1.1 walks per 9 innings. Just stunning. And yet, as you say, he's given up more base hits than any pitcher in the league. Now, he's also pitched by far the most innings of any pitcher in the league. And that raises a question about Halladay going forward. I mean, he's already thrown 221 innings. If the Phillies are close the rest of the way and he makes 4 or 5 more starts, and then they go deep in the postseason, how many innings might he throw this year?
Well, he's going to make at least 4 more starts. That gets him to 250 plus. All right, 250 plus, and then you never know how long you're going to go in the postseason.
Well, the most innings he's ever thrown in a season is 266, but that was 7 years ago. Most he's thrown since then is 246. Of course, never been in the postseason. So it's certainly, I don't want to say it's a concern for the Phillies, but it's uncharted territory for a guy like Halladay.
I just think that, you know, he's the elite of the elite, and when push comes to shove and it gets a little cooler and he starts breaking some bats with that good cutter and sinker that he has, that he'll turn it up a notch, or at least turn it up a notch, keep it the same.
Seventh pitch coming to Duda, and he gets in on his fists, and that's a foul ball off the foot of Lucas.
One of the things he does, Keith, better than just about any right-hander in baseball is he fouls that almost off his knee.
It was as it grazed his knee.
Is that Halladay pounds the left-handers in, and he pounds them in the first 3 innings, first 2 times through the lineup, and that opens up that curveball later in the game.
2 pitchers in the league have won more games than Halladay. Adam Wainwright won his 18th last night. Ubaldo Jimenez also has 18 wins. 2-2 to Duda. In there for a call, strike 3. Fastball got him looking. 3rd strikeout for Halladay. All 3 on call 3rd strikes. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by HBO's new series Boardwalk Empire, premiering Sunday, September 19th at 9 p.m. By Verizon Fios, call 1-888-GET-FIOS. Halladay will lead off in the 3rd inning against Henry Mejia. Halladay has 11 hits this season. 78 at bats. That's a lot of at bats.
Well, I saw it. 78 at bats, 1 sacrifice. That's unusual, right?
Yeah. It's his first year swinging the bat.
Yeah.
Anything but interleague games.
He's a perfectionist. He'll get that working too.
You got to work on the stance. A little timid with that stance. It's like he's ready to pull the ejector button in a minute.
Well, he's got to have some kink in his game.
Absolutely. We'll find it.
Yes, we will. Halladay's only 33 years old. He should have a number of serviceable years left to try and figure out how to hit. And or bunt. Mejia had 0-2. Reyes waits on it and throws out Halladay 1 away.
You know, it is, Gary, but after we had that press conference today, things can be so fleeting for any athlete. And, you know, seeing Santana up there today, having to talk about another injury was sad. It was sad to see a guy that we enjoy up here watching every 5th day.
Well, there is such resolve to Johan Santana, and I have no doubt that, you know, he'll
figure out a way.
If anybody is going to be able to come back strong again from another injury, it's going to be him.
Yeah.
It's just another, though, instance for this organization of just having something bad happen. I mean,
it's a pox on your house. Jeez.
I mean, the last 2 years have been just so chock full with, you know, guys going down in predictable and unpredictable ways. I mean, Jason Bay was in the clubhouse today. He's still trying to come back.
Yeah.
He hasn't played a game since late July from what initially was not even thought to be a concussion and turns out to be a long-term injury. There's Jason sitting next to Michael Herbst. He was out on the field today. First time. He's not swung the bat, though, and it's unlikely he's going to get to play this year, but you know, he's trying his best.
Yep.
I mean, who could have foreseen that? 3-0 to Victorino, and there's ball 4. So Victorino draws a 4-pitch walk, the first given up by Mejia.
That's the same pitch that he called strike 3 to end the inning last inning.
Against Duda.
Duda. Same pitch, same elevation.
You know, you mentioned earlier, Ronnie, that you saw sadness in that press room today. I saw a look on Omar Minaya's face that I have never seen before.
Yeah.
Omar is the most relentlessly positive, upbeat person I've ever met. And it was hard even for him to go there today. Especially he was asked about how it's going to affect his offseason plans, procuring starting pitching. Victorino runs, and Toley's throwing a great run, and Reyes tags him out. Toley with a perfect throw, and Victorino's caught for only the 4th time this year in 35 tries.
Watch the footwork. Good footwork, folks. Quick release. There you go. Made great strides behind the plate after he came up last year.
Nice tag by Reyes. Quick tag.
0-1 to Polanco, and he takes 1-1. Anyway, Omar's response, I thought, was instructive. He wasn't upbeat the way he normally would be. He said, well, it's something we couldn't have prepared for.
Yeah.
And left it at that. Out to right center field and cutting across Pagan to make the grab to end the inning. So the Phillies are done in the top of the 3rd. Mets come to bat in the bottom, down 2-0. Tomorrow afternoon at 4:10 p.m. Get your seats direct from the Mets at Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX. Home third inning, Luis Hernandez batting 8th in the order, leads off against Roy Halladay. Hernandez making his 7th start as a Met, hitting .313 in his first 32 at bats, and takes a strike. Hernandez getting the start tonight over Ruben Tejada. Of course, Tejada had been filling in his short with Reyes out.
Two pitches away. You'd have to think the next pitch is going to be in. Halladay very rarely throws 3 pitches the same spot. He is going out again.
I think it's pitch him away, play him away.
Yep.
Mejia on deck. And then Reyes as the Mets down at the bottom of the third. Utley shuffling over. And throws out Hernandez, 1 away. Today's pitcher's high speed brought to you by Verizon Fios. Call 1-888-GET-FIOS. Mejia out radar gunning Halladay so far. Now Mejia at the plate looking for his first big league hit. 0 for 2.
See Ruben's grip on that bat. He's got the bat, and look at his top hand. If we get another close up, he's got that bat in the palm of his hands, not really in his fingers. And the creases in his fingers. You lose all your snap of the wrists and quickness of the bat if you hold that bat in your palm.
This play is a pitcher.
Yep. Some can make that correction. Some can tell him.
Maybe the umpire's telling. That's fielding Culver.
He was giving Ruiz a little extra time. He caught that ball awkwardly. Got him in the thumb.
With a big 2-inch choke up.
And Henry takes one to right field, and he's got his first big league hit. And he really hustled down the line to make sure he wasn't going to be a 9-3 victim.
Fastball away, just kind of slapped out there. Not pretty.
So they'll save that baseball.
But he'll take it.
What'd you say? It's the science of hitting? Is that how you guys describe it?
Let go with one hand.
Now Jose Reyes pops one foul, back and out of play. Jose took a call, third strike his first time up. Been a series of fits and starts for Reyes over the last 10 weeks. Seemed several times as though he was on the verge of being ready to play since last tweaking that oblique. And he lines one to left center field. He's got himself an extra base hit. Mejia tiptoes around second. Hits for third. He's being waved around. Valdez hesitates on the relay throw, and Mejia dives in with a run. It's an RBI double for Reyes to cut the Philly lead to 2-1. Chip Hill wasn't sure what to do as Mejia ran every base like it was a sprint.
Well, watch this right here. He slows up. He's not looking at the ball. See, it's like looking at the third base coach. Make your own decision. It's not a good.
Well, I think Chip Hale said 20-year-old legs. Why not? Go ahead. That's the toughest decision Chip Hale's ever had to make in his coaching career.
You hate to see Henry diving in a home plate like that, but he got some style points. First major league hit, first major league run. And Reyes with his first hit in the month of September. Now Pagan hits one slowly. Utley will field and throws out Pagan for the second out as Reyes moves over to third. So 2 out. Tying run at third. And here's Beltran, who grounded out to Howard his first time up. One and one to Carlos. He rips it to deep right field. That goes Worth looking up. And it's out of here. Carlos Beltran with a 2-run homer. His first this season as a left-hand batter. And his third of the year. And he gives the Mets a 3-2 lead. Well, we saw signs on the road trip that Carlos was starting to drive the ball left-handed. And there's the hardest hit ball he's stroked all year.
Quick bat, mistake, wants to come in right down the pipe. All the way. And that's Carlos' spot where he loves it.
And we said if there was an Achilles heel for Roy Halladay, 22nd home run he's given up this year.
So 3-2 New York. And Davis takes ball one.
I think you're going to see Halladay now start throwing a little more breaking ball. He's getting goes predominantly with throwing the fastball. I think he's going to start changing the program.
Ike fouled out to the catcher his first time up. Now Carlos Beltran, day by day, starting to look a little bit more like, well, like Carlos Beltran. Davis drives one to left, and he's got a base hit. Fourth into the inning off Roy Halladay.
And something we have seen before. He wants it in again. And he misses on the other part of the plate, but we're also seeing Davis starting to attack the outside pitch. The pitch he's been taking so much for so long, and now since he's gotten hot, you see him going the other way using the field.
With 324 on the road trip. 1 for 2 today. Now David Wright. And he takes on the outside, 0-1.
Keith, if Ike Davis doesn't use the whole field, it's going to be impossible for him to hit 275, 280, 285. When he's using the whole field, he becomes so much of a better hitter.
Curveball strike to right, and it's 0-2. Davis barking about it with Field and Culbreth, but not turning around. It's usually a pretty good strategy, right?
Oh, it's fielding. Where's Lovey?
Charlie Manuel working that dump.
One, two, and it's off the plate. 2-2 to right with Josh Tolley on deck.
It's unusual how they started out so strong and has had a little hiccup here.
All started with the base hit by the pitcher Mejia. Delayed steal attempt by Davis, and Utley can't catch the throw. And Davis is safe. A little sneak attack for Ike Davis.
Well, the Mets have done this twice now. They did it on the road trip once also. Ruiz is not fooled. Utley's late getting there. He may not have had the tag on time. So, hey, when you're playing it out, you can be footloose and fancy free.
Third stolen base for Davis. He's in scoring position for Wright. 3-2 pitch. Line caught by Halladay. And the inning is over. He could catch that on the fly, didn't he?
No, one hopper.
Oh, was it?
Yep.
My bad. Mets' first run of the game brought to you by Ram award-winning trucks. Video Music Awards, live Sunday at 9 on MTV, featuring performances by Kanye West and Eminem. Chase Utley leads off for the Phillies in the fourth inning. The Mets with the lead for the first time for Henry Mejia. And Mejia had a big hand in it. And his first big league hit and got his uniform dirty with a head-first slide at the home plate. Now Utley will try and fight the Phillies back. Utley struck out his first time up.
We're going to get the sliding pants out, Gary, and get Mejia with the pop-up slide. We're going to work on that tomorrow. Huh, Keith?
Oh. Let him know that he can make his own decision when the ball's hit the left field when you're running to second base. Don't look at the coach.
Yeah, he was station to station 3 times during that trip from first to home. I was surprised that Wilson Valdez didn't throw that ball home, though.
He bobbled it. He wanted to, but he bobbled it just enough that he had to hold it. And if someone had been trailing that play, he would have had a play at second base.
It would have been nice if somebody told Henry he could have come in standing up. 1-1 to Utley, and the curveball is down. 2-1.
Well, here's Reyes' double right there, and Victorino cuts it off. The relay is kind of an in-between hop, and there's the exchange right there, the little stutter step. Couldn't quite get the grip.
Two and two to Utley.
Well, jeez. Splash. It's like a belly flop.
Not exactly what Chip had in mind. Thinking I could lose my job over that. Yeah, just got our 20-year-old pitcher killed. Fastball away to Utley, 3-2. I have to say, Chip Hale has had the best year that any Mets third base coach has had in ages.
I agree. He is spot on. A good guy, too. Solid baseball guy. Where did he come from? Oh, Minnesota.
By way of Arizona. But, yeah, he grew up in the Minnesota system. Good fastball by Mejia with that little cut on it. Gets Utley. Second time he's gotten Chase.
Chase has fished twice for this ball right here. His runner in that bat, and then in that at bat.
So 1 out. Here's Ryan Howard. That's put the big shift on him first time up, and it paid off as he grounded one to Luis Hernandez well out in right field and was thrown out.
Boy, all these Philadelphia hitters, not one has offered at that changeup in the dirt yet, which might tell you that they have spotted something in Mejia when he wants to throw that changeup.
Rocket hit to left field. Back goes Duda to the wall, and it's out of here. Ryan Howard with an opposite field home run to tie the game at 3. Number 29 for Howard, and that was a bolt.
Well, you don't see many like that. We haven't from any Mets or visiting players. That's a long way. It's a big high fence, and that was a line drive. That makes it more impressive. He's so strong.
Well, earlier in the game, I asked the question, can Ryan Howard turn around that wind to left field? Question answered.
Right down the pipe.
At that trajectory, he can. Didn't exactly get up in the wind, did it? Wow. So a 3-3 ball game. Now Jason Worth, who had a base hit his first time up.
Take a look at the side swing. He doesn't really release that front foot, but the ball's away, and you can almost like an inside out swing, which is all the more impressive that someone can semi inside out and have that kind of power the other way.
That's the first home run that any Philly has hit at Citi Field this year. This is their 7th game here. Of course, the Mets shut the Phillies out the first 4 games they've played in this ballpark. Last year, the Phillies homered 14 times in 9 games at Citi Field.
Howard, he could homer in the Grand Canyon. Forget about it.
Well, you got 2 pitching staffs that are 1 and 2 in shutouts this year. New York's number 1 and the Phillies are number 2. And they're 1 and 2 in complete games, with Philadelphia on top on that one. So got some workhorses in the rotations. There's Mr. Hamill.
Well, Hamill's been red hot, and Mejia escapes with his life as that one whizzes by him off the bat of Jason Worth.
Been there, done that. Don't want to ever do it again. Whew. Couldn't believe the sound that ball makes as it whizzes past your ear.
So now Ibanez, who doubled over the head of Lucas Duda in the 2nd inning. Phillies now with 5 hits off Mejia. And you got to watch out about Worth at first base. To watch out from both teams' perspectives. He's stolen 9 bases this year, but Worth has had some well-documented base running misadventures. He once got picked off second base this year during an intentional walk.
That's just falling asleep.
He's had a few of those gaffes, though, so he's fallen asleep a few times. Being picky, though, he's quite a player.
Well, as I said, he's had a very strange year. There's been a lot of good and some real head-scratching pieces to Worth's season. He's running. Ibanez lifts it to left. Duda this time appears to have it lined up. And Worth retreats. That's the 2nd out. So 2 out of the inning. Now Carlos Ruiz, who drove in the first Philadelphia run, with a base hit to right field in the 2nd. Phillies then scored a run as the Mets were turning a double play to make it 2-0. Mets got 3 in the 3rd Reyes drove in the first, and Beltran then hit a 2-run homer. And now Howard's home run has tied it in the fourth. Ruiz smacks one into center for a base hit. So he's 2 for 2.
And they're not soft hits. These are loud hits. This ball is ripped.
I think what has happened, Keith, is that everything out of the hand of Mejia that is a strike is hard. Everything that's soft has been out of the strike zone, whether it's a curveball or a changeup.
On his first start in Chicago, he allowed 4 runs and 8 hits over 5 innings. He's about in the same neighborhood tonight. Through 3 2/3, here's Wilson Valdez, who hit into the double play that brought home a run in the second inning. And the first pitch fouled into the seats. Now, as that pitch was thrown, Jason Worth was dancing off second base, and he has a tendency to do that now, and that's one of the reasons why he's been picked off second base so often.
Boy, if you had a play on there, he was a dead duck. And Mejia's got to recognize even more so when he starts to dance off, just step off the rubber. Put him back in his place.
No, there's no one holding him close. But still, generally, with 2 outs, you're in scoring position, and from a defensive standpoint, you don't want to give up too much of your coverage on the infield, because base hit, a ground ball, you could get 2.
In terms of pitchers being aware of base runners, I saw something yesterday I've never ever seen before in that Cincinnati Colorado game. First and third, Nick Massett on the mound. The kid at third base, Chris Nelson, breaks for the plate, and Massett turns around thinking the runner's going from first, and Nelson steals home and wins the game for Colorado.
Well, talking to people I know, the reason they went with that play or saw that play is Nick Massett hides his face with the glove. So when he's facing third base with guys on first and third, he cannot see the runner on third. They picked that up. They went with the play. And that, you know, when you hold the glove in front of your face, you can't see third, you might as well be almost like a left-handed pitcher. And that cost him the play.
But why did he turn around towards second base?
Well, those pitchers.
I mean, did somebody yell at him going and he figured it was the guy going from first?
Exactly. And a lot of times you'll have a guy maybe say even step off. If he hears that step off, his first thing is thinks the guy is going from first to second base. And he turned the wrong way. He turned from third to second to first, which spun him around, which gave him no chance against Nelson, who's had 2 great running plays for the Rockies down the stretch.
But even when it's first and third, Ron, and they tell you to step off, you look at the ground ball back to the pitcher, you got to look the runner back to third first, correct?
Big time.
2-2 to Valdez in tight full count. Well, it was such an unusual play, and you know, it's really emblematic of what's going on with the Reds right now. They got swept 4 games in Colorado, and with the Rockies, who are putting on one of those patented Rockies late season runs.
No, it's okay. The Reds are back in division now. They're up at home. They're up 3-1 against the Pirates. Let's still get well there.
Their lead is 5 games over the Cardinals. It was 8 a few days ago. 3-2 to Valdez. The runners will take off. And a slow ground ball. Tough play for David Wright. He'll have to put that in his pocket. It's an infield hit for Valdez to load the bases.
Well, not much you can do here. That's a swinging bunt, and David wisely eats it.
So Roy Halladay will bat with the bases loaded. First, Dan Worth is going to take a trip to the mound. But he has now given up 7 hits over 3 2/3. Here's your National League playoff picture. The Phillies a game up on the Braves, who are playing at home against the Cardinals tonight and trailing 3-1 in the third.
The Cardinals need to win the division, and they're out. They're in trouble in that wild card. Very interesting National League. Very competitive.
Giants hit, what, 5 home runs last night against that Padres pitching staff?
Matt Cain pitched very well. So, you know, the last time they got together, Jonathan Sanchez said they were going to sweep. Maybe this time they will.
That's Carpenter throwing for St. Louis tonight.
Against Mike Minor, the rookie.
Matt Holliday has a home run in that game for the Cardinals. So here's Holliday with the bases loaded and 2 out. And he hits one past Mejia and past Hernandez. Worth scores. Ruiz scores. The throw goes to third, not in time. Roy Halladay with a 2-run single to give the Phillies the lead, 5-3.
Well, that's one up right there. You get a base hit off me. Well, I'll get one back, and I have 2 ribeye steaks to go with it. Right down the pipe.
Halladay's 4th and 5th runs batted in. So after the Mets put up 3 in the bottom of the 3rd to grab a 3-2 lead, the Phillies right back with 3 more to make it 5-3 Philadelphia, and Halladay is waiting for the jacket at first base.
And Valdez Wilson went 1st to 3rd on that base, and I think he surprised Beltran. And Carlos didn't come up throwing real quick. Don't think that he expected Valdez. And Valdez wisely going 1st to 3rd here. Just a draw cutoff throw. That's a huge run, that back run right here. I think Carlos was a little bit surprised by him taking him to 3rd, challenging him.
So 5 hits in the inning off Mejia. Pat Mish will get up in the Mets bullpen. Shane Victorino, the 8th man to bat in the inning, with 1st and 3rd and 2 out. Valdez and Halladay, the base runners. It's not that cool, is it?
Oh boy. See the batting order from Worth on down?
Yeah.
7 for 10. Is that correct? Yep. No.
5 through 9 in the batting order.
7 through 10. 7 for 10.
4 runs scored.
Placido Polanco on deck. Hit the other way. That's a base hit for Victorino. Valdez comes in to score, and the hits just keep on coming from the Phillies. 6 hits in the inning. They've scored 4 times and lead 6-3.
Well, they can beat you in so many ways. They've got a well-balanced lineup, a mixture of line drive hitters, as Victorino is, and the power hitters that started this whole thing, and Ryan Howard, who started it with a solo home run.
This ball a 2-hopper to Duda. Valdez does not go 1st to 3rd, not assured that he's going to score on that hit.
So now Polanco, the 9th man up in the inning. He's 0 for 2. The Phillies now with 6 runs and 9 hits off Henry Mejia. And Polanco takes a fastball for a strike. The inning began with Mejia striking out Chase Utley, but then Ryan Howard hit an impressive line drive opposite field home run to tie the game. And 5 singles have ensued after that. Gets away from Tolley, and that'll move the runners to 2nd and 3rd. So this inning completely falling apart from Mejia. A wild pitch.
When you're calling the pitches for a young pitcher, as a catcher, if you call a curveball, you've got to anticipate that that ball is going to be in the dirt 100% of the time. And Josh didn't do that, tried to backhand, and it cost a couple of bases.
Base hit right now, boy, just really put a nice harpoon in that whale.
Polanco hits it sharply. Reyes with a great backhand stop and throws him out to end the inning and save 2 runs. But the Phillies score 4, sparked by Ryan Howard's 29th home run of the year.
Well, the Phillies put up a 4-spot off Henry Mejia there. They now lead the Mets. We welcome you back to Citi Field. And I'm joined by Ed Hearn, who's with us at the ballpark tonight. Ed, of course, the former Met on the 86 squad, and has been dealing with a disease so terrible that he's had 3 kidney transplants in the last 20 years. And Ed, you're here representing the NephCure Foundation. Why don't we kind of educate people a little bit what that's about?
Well, the NephCure Foundation is the only organization dedicated to trying to find a cure and or treatment for this FSGS. So, we have a lot of folks here, and I really appreciate the Mets allowing us to come out and be a part of this night.
Utley has no play. Toley's got a leadoff single. FSGS, I mean, can you explain a little bit what the disease, I mentioned about, your kidneys, but what does this disease do, Ed? I mean, I just met a 7-year-old kid who's had this disease for 4 years.
It attacks the glomeruli, which are a small part of the kidneys there. I'm sure Ronnie can explain that to you later. He knows everything, right?
He's an Ivy League guy. He probably could.
Exactly. So, but it's it's a deterioration of the kidneys leads down to where you end up needing usually dialysis and transplant.
What's the biggest thing about it? Is it just knowledge? Is it tell me what's the biggest issue with fighting this disease?
Well, the biggest concern is finding the cure and the research that needs to be done. So NephCure raises funds, and it all goes to the research and awareness and letting people know how devastating this disease is. It's not a big name disease, but more people have it than cystic fibrosis. So, we just need to get the awareness out there, what's going on, and these kids, and you look around us sitting here today, these kids are young, they're 4, 5, 6, 7 years old that already have it. I didn't come down with it until I was 28, 29 years old, and it's been quite the battle, as an adult. NephCure.org is the website. As Lucas Duda bats for the Mets here, trying to get something going. We talked to Ed Hearn, the former Met, so Ed, hopefully people will go on that website. Let me ask you, though, just going back to your playing days for a second. Now, you came up as the jokester. You came up as in that mold. I want to know, give me a feel for, how you fit in with that group, which we've talked about a lot, and maybe some of your best prank moments, if you could. Well, I was a rookie that year in '86, so, as a rookie, you got to know your place, and, so I'm not on the front page there, but when I was traded to the Royals, I introduced that whole concept to these guys. Saberhagen became, he was the hot foot king in Kansas City, but we pulled a lot of things that we probably shouldn't talk about on the air, although I will bring this one up. Darryl Strawberry bought a bunch of steaks when we were down in Texas. Next thing I know, Keith Hernandez is throwing a line drive in the back of Darryl.
Nice call there, Ed.
Beautiful, man. Line drive, right, although it hit him in the back.
So you're talking about steaks.
And Hernandez, what an arm. He could throw it where he wanted it. Here we are on a charter flight, and it's a steak fight.
With steaks?
Steaks, rare steaks. Yeah, we stole them out of Strawberry's pack that he bought there in Texas. We had about 3 dozen steaks, uncooked. All of a sudden, we got a steak fight on the plane.
That's a very weird and interesting story, Ed. Well, listen, it's great to catch up, and more importantly, I hope people really find out about this disease and go on NephCure.org to help, okay?
All the thanks in the world to the Mets, allowing us to come out here and be a part of tonight.
Thanks so much. Let's go back to Gary and the 2 steak fighters, guys.
That's a story that I've never heard before.
I don't recall, Your Honor.
I've heard of snakes on a plane, but never steaks on a plane.
Senator, I don't recall.
Sounds like you're pleading the fifth.
Hopefully they won't call me as a witness.
Luis Hernandez drilled by the pitch from Halladay, and so the Mets looking to fight right back, have 2 men on, and now Jesus Feliciano will bat for Henry Mejia. The tying run at the plate. And a broken back grounder. Halladay avoids the bat. Utley gets the force at second and then throws behind the runner, and Toley's in a run down.
What are we doing?
And Polanco runs him down to end the inning. Dead base running by Josh Toley. It winds up as a double play. And the inning comes to an end. On to the 5th. HBO hit to your TV. Curb Your Enthusiasm premiering Monday night at 11:30 on Pix 11. You know, the Mets failed to execute turning a double play, which cost them a run earlier. Here they failed to execute trying to stay out of a double play.
Watch Chip Hale.
Watch the ball and stay. That's what he said.
So that's just, I don't know what Josh was thinking, but I'm sure he's embarrassed. And then to add insult to injury after he gets tagged, Polanco just waffles him. Watch. Fell on him. Insult to injury.
Well, it goes 4-6, 5-2-5. Normally, you don't want to run a guy toward an advancing base the way Polanco did.
Yeah, that was a bad play by Polanco. He's got to get rid of that ball. But I think he thought his speed was much superior to Tolley, but it wasn't. As Raul Valdez comes on, who was recently called back up from Buffalo, and Chip will have that look for the next till this game's over.
It hasn't been Chip's easiest game. He had to wave Mejia home, which turned out to be the right call, but Mejia belly flopped across home plate. And there Josh Tolley just, I don't know exactly what Josh was thinking.
It was a vapor lock.
Utley has struck out twice. Lines one back to Valdez.
Valdez can pitch, he can field, and he can hit. He's an athlete out there. Quick hands.
I know that was a line drive. One out, and now Ryan Howard coming up. Howard had a very impressive opposite field home run in the 4th inning, hitting a bolt over the Great Wall of Flushing for his 29th home run. And Howard takes a strike. Howard now with 29 home runs, 96 runs batted in.
Check this out. Watch the bat. Almost hits Halladay. He almost went into it. Because his first reaction was to get over to cover first.
There's a lot going on that play.
All of it bad, by the way.
Bad wood, bad base running. 2-2 to Howard. Henry Mejia threw 81 pitches over 4 innings, allowed 6 runs, 9 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, a wild pitch, and a home run. Not a good follow-up after a so-so outing in Chicago.
Remember when Howard first came up against left-handers? Remember how he used to fish for that bad breaking ball? Look at the advancement he's had over the years now in his young and great career. He's become much better eye, has developed a much better eye at the plate.
Pops one up. Nobody will get to this one, even if it were playable.
And I think, Keith, that's why he came into the game hitting 281. You know, he's a guy that traditionally has been in the 260s kind of early in his career, but turned it up a notch.
A lot of home runs, too. You remember, you don't get enough at-bats against, as many at-bats against left-handed. Those are outstanding power numbers against lefties.
Remember how badly he was struggling early in the year? Couldn't buy a hit.
That's where you got to pitch him, right there, up and in. When he first came up and he was facing Feliciano out of the bullpen and Oliver Perez when Ollie had the 94-mile-an-hour gas, they just ate him up. And that is called getting sawed off. But you fight it off. Got another chance.
Is the pitcher brave enough to go in there again? I'd have to answer yes. Raul Valdez has been pretty brave all season long.
His whole life is about brave.
That's right.
Struck him out. Good breaking ball. And Valdez strikes out Howard for the second out.
Set up with the fastball.
I think of Raul Valdez. I'll always remember that outing where John Maine threw 5 pitches in Washington, was taken out of the game, and Raul came out and threw 5+ innings and got the Mets a win that evening, I believe.
Here's Jason Worth, who's 2 for 2 and has scored 2 runs. Ibanez would be next. And Worth rolls over the changeup. David Wright with a low throw, and it skips by Davis. On to second goes Worth. Hernandez's throw, safe. And David Wright trying to make the quick submarine throw, and Davis couldn't pick it out.
Well, he's been throwing more sidearm. And
that was a tough one for Ike.
That's a tough hop.
Well, it'll be an error on Wright. So Worth at second with 2 out. And now Raul Ibanez, who doubled to left and scored a run in the second, fly to left in the fourth. The Mets have made some fundamental physical and mental errors in this game, and I go back to the question I asked earlier in the game, which is, how does a team get affected when they find out what they found out today about Johan Santana? And certainly the Mets have not played a sharp game tonight here by any means.
I think one thing, Gary, it's more difficult when you're an also-ran. But when you're in a pennant race and you drop someone, well, you can't worry about it. You got every game's important. You got to go out and play. You know, it reminds me of '87 when Ronnie went down in September. Ronnie was our best pitcher down the stretch, reaching for that swinging bunt, and did his thumb in, and we had to move on.
Carlos Ruiz on deck. If you missed the news earlier, Johan Santana will undergo surgery on his shoulder for a torn anterior capsule. The initial prognosis that he'll be ready to throw by spring, but it's a very uncommon injury for pitchers, and so we'll have to wait and see. Swing and a miss. Valdez gets Ibanez to end the inning. Second strikeout of the inning for Valdez. We're halfway through. 6-3 Phillies. Toyota dealers, hurry. Offers end soon. Third time around the batting order for the Mets. Jose Reyes leads off the bottom of the 5th against Roy Halladay. And Reyes runs up as though to bunt and takes a strike. Jose double to left center to drive in the Mets' first run. 1 for 2 in his return to the lineup for the first time in 2 weeks. Halladay has not been great so far tonight. Gave up 4 hits and 3 runs in the 3rd. Gave up an infield hit and hit a batter in the 4th. But he's got himself a 3-run lead. And the one thing we've learned about Halladay this year, watching him now in his 4th start against the Mets, is that when he has a lead late, he tends to really kick it in gear.
Totally different pitcher, but I played with Dave Stewart, and the one thing that he had in common with Halladay is, you see, I don't know if he swung here, Keith. What do you think?
I didn't think so.
No, I don't think so either. Is that they could smell a wind. You know, once they got their nose out in front, they knew how to persevere through.
Slapped it short. Valdez in front of it, and the quick toss gets Reyes. 1 away. Valdez, who played here with Reyes last year, knew exactly how much time he had. Now Angel Pagan, who was honored before the game here tonight as the Mets nominee for the Roberto Clemente Award this year, which is for excellence on the field and community service off the field.
Well deserved.
Pagan is 0 for 2 tonight. Lifts one out to center field. And Victorino is there, 2 out. And in a week where so much has been said and written about the 3 guys who did not attend the Mets excursion to Walter Reed Hospital this past week, I think it bears noting that the Mets have made that trip 4 years now. And this year there was the highest percentage of attendance in any season. And it is the right of every player to go or not go to a non-mandatory event. My perspective is that the only people who lost by the 3 players not going were those 3 players who missed the experience. And that the rest of it has, I don't know, it's taken on a life of its own, and I'm not really sure why. Ali Perez and Carlos Beltran and Luis Castillo have been vilified, and I'm not really understanding exactly where that's all coming from.
And like you said, what you're losing in this translation that has happened is what an amazing event it was. You guys were there.
Yeah. Yep. And we got an enormous amount out of it, and those who didn't go didn't. It's their loss, nobody else's. And I'll say it again, it's the 4th year that the Mets have made the trip, and the percentage of players that went this year was much higher than in any other year. And nobody ever said anything before about players that missed the trip and decided not to go for whatever reasons they made that decision. I'm not sure why it became an issue this year.
Halladay has that thing, Keith, where if you're a left-handed hitter, the ball is running away from you or crowding you in. If you had to take an approach quickly off Halladay, what would it be?
Up the middle, look fastball up the middle. The great pitchers, you just really got to shorten up. Not be a Judy, but attack.
Battle.
Let's go 1, 2, 3. 5 in the books. 6. Check out Life in the Fast Lane as the boys take you on the wild ride through Hollywood. Entourage premieres Monday night at 12:30 on Pix 11. Sixth inning. Raul Valdez begins his second inning of work. Carlos Ruiz leads off for the Phillies. Ruiz is 2 for 2, singled in a run in the second, and then singled and scored a run in the fourth. The lower part of the Phillies order has been deadly to the Mets so far tonight. Ruiz 2 for 2 in the 7th spot. Valdez has a base hit in the 8 hole. Halladay has driven in 2 runs in the 9 spot. Davis over for a look, but that ball's going to get blown out of play. Wind has been blowing from left field toward the first base dugout all night. Valdez on deck, and then Halladay. Raul Valdez working in back of Henry Mejia, who went the first 4 innings, allowed 6 runs and 9 hits. Fastball strike, 2-2. Lined left field, and Ruiz is 3 for 3. Single to right, single to center, and now single to left. So now Wilson Valdez, who grounded into a double play as a run came home in the second and had an infield hit in the fourth. So he's 1 for 2.
Charlie Manuel likes to hit and run with Wilson, so be alert if you're on the defense.
Best defense against the hit and run. Strike 1.
You got it.
Breaking ball at the feet of Valdez, 2-1.
Well, here's your hit and run count. Classic hit and run count.
Valdez with a Z facing Valdez with an S.
Spaniard and a Portuguese.
I don't think so. That was your Sanchez argument. 2-2. I don't think there's any Portuguese in Raul. Raul, the 32-year-old Cuban rookie who burst on the scene during spring training out of absolutely nowhere and became a fixture for the Mets early this season. Mets have had some rags to riches stories this year, haven't they?
We have.
I mean, the team as a whole has certainly not performed as well as the fans might have liked, but you have to love stories like Valdez and R.A. Dickey, guys who have, burst on the scene after either obscurity or a journeyman career.
It's surprising they didn't set Ruiz loose on 3-2.
I don't know. You get those catchers sometimes late in the season. You'll get a manager protecting him and not wanting to put him in motion, trying to protect against those little injuries that catchers carry into September.
Especially a guy like Ruiz, who they try to play as much as they can. Valdez hits one well out to left, chasing Duda back, and Lucas makes the reaching grab. And Ruiz hustling back to first base. Now Wilson Valdez hit it well, and Lucas Duda equal to this task.
Oh, nice running over the head catch. And that's around as good as Valdez is going to hit it. And Ruiz on the other side of the bag must retouch.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Halladay, who drove in a pair of runs with a bouncing single through the middle in the 4th inning. As Ronnie noted earlier, he's had only 1 sacrifice bunt this season. And fouls off his first attempt. Shane Victorino on deck. Mets were down 2-0, led 3-2, but the Phillies scored 4 in the 4th, helped out by Halladay's heroics to take a 6-3 lead. And he offered at that one. It's 0-2. And we're starting to see why he has this one sacrifice this year.
A lot of stabbing at the ball.
He gets in a nice position. He's locked in where he's right over the plate. He's covering the plate, but then his heart isn't in it right there at the end and the late stab. Just leave that. If you have any fear or you're struggling to bunt, leave that bat over the plate. Don't stab at it. Just keep it still and cover the plate and you have a better chance. But now he's an RBI man, so
he was in butcher boy mode. One, two, and he struck him out with a breaking ball. So after Halladay can't get the butt down, Raul Valdez picks up his 3rd strikeout.
Good slider here from Valdez, down and in. Flailing swing by Roy Halladay.
So 2 out. Ruiz still at first, and here's Victorino, who drove in a run with a 4th inning single. Also has walked and grounded out, 1 for 2. About right-handed for the first time today. This has been by far his better side this year. .315 as a right-hand batter with 6 home runs. And a fastball for a strike.
You got to stay down on Victorino when he's right-handed. He likes that ball up around chest level. That's where he gets his power. Got a pretty flat swing from the right side.
See the splits on Victorino. Figure about 70% of your at bats come as a left-hand batter as a switch hitter.
Victorino from the right side of the plate. How many years ago in the playoffs hit that? Was it the grand slam off of Sabathia when they played the? Was it the Brewers?
Yeah. Huge hit.
2 years ago.
Citizens Bank Park.
That was the year the Phillies won it all. Two one. Popped it up. Shallow right. Hernandez out. Pagan in. And Angel puts it away to end the inning. A leadoff single and 1 left. 2 good innings out of Raul Valdez. Still 6-3 Phillies. The line score is brought to you by freescore.com. Life costs more without free score. 3 crooked numbers. Mets behind and in front, then behind again. This tour of Citi Field brought to you by Jeep. I live, I ride, I am Jeep. Friday night crowd at Citi Field welcoming the Mets home after their 10-game road swing. Mets with 17 home games remaining, including tonight. That's the most of any team in the major leagues. Mike Davis leads off against Roy Halladay and takes a strike.
They're giving out free blankets, I think, tonight. That's a good choice. It's a little cooler.
Probably will get cooler yet as we move through September and into October.
I have to tell Lorraine Hamilton that I'd like a blanket. It's cold up here.
Is Lorraine in charge of your blankets? 2-1 to Davis, who had an opposite field single his last time up, and then pulled off a delayed steal. And Halladay dents that outside corner. He's had that when he's wanted to. 2-2. Phillies lead here. The Braves trail at home against the Cardinals 4-2 as they go to the 6th. Little tapper in front of the plate, and Ruiz throws out Davis, one away. So 1 out and nobody on. Let's check in with Kevin.
Tomorrow, the 9-year anniversary of 9/11, and one thing the Mets have done, they've always done a fantastic job of getting involved with the charities involved with 9/11, and one of them is the Tuesdays Children's Association, and basically the Mets have been involved in this from day one. Essentially, it's any child who lost a parent in the 9/11 attack. So today, a lot of those families here at Citi Field again, and a lot of the Mets going out and spending time, giving some goodies and things like that. Just really well done. David Wright and Mike Pelfrey went to a couple of firehouses today, down by ground zero, just making the rounds. The Mets have always done a fantastic job just getting out in the community to really almost anything involved with 9/11, guys. So kudos to them on that. Back to you.
Well, it goes all the way back to the days immediately after 9/11 when the Shea Stadium parking lot was used as a staging ground for getting equipment together, getting supplies together, people volunteering, and the Mets were involved from day one. Remember, Bobby Valentine was working around the clock out there to try and assist in any way he could. John Franco was a big part of that effort, and really the entire Mets community. And from the day of the attacks onward, the Mets have done everything they've been able to do to honor the victims and the heroes of 9/11 and help in any way they can. 2-2 to Wright with 1 out. And a chopper. Polanco lets it go for Valdez, who guns down Wright. What a good arm by Valdez for the 2nd out.
It's interesting, Keith. He called him off here, I believe.
He did. He's got the momentum. Polanco is going to his left. Will have to pivot to throw, and all that Valdez has to do is catch and throw. It's a proper play. Good taking charge in the infield by Valdez.
It's one of the reasons the Phillies have been so happy with Valdez this year. He just has a real knack for the instincts of the game.
Well, Keith described it right. It's the little things. He already had his crow hop, which is that little hop you have right before he throws. You see Jimmy Rollins, who's been out with a hamstring, who's been out 1 day with a hamstring. Heard it in yesterday's ball game.
He's had so many injury problems this year, starting with the calf injury earlier this year that's kept him on the disabled list twice. And it hasn't been a great year for Rollins, even when he has been healthy. Tolle hits one back toward the middle. Valdez runs this one down with a 360 that pulls Howard off the back. And Tolle's got another infield hit. He's 3 for 3.
Well, again, nice range up the middle. He makes the throw. He's made the put out. That would have been the 6-3 in your scorecard. Real nice effort.
So Tolley has a couple of leg hits today. Now he just has to try to avoid being too frisky once he gets aboard. And here's Lucas Duda, who's taking a call third strike and then a bullet to right, and this one pulled foul.
Now what that tells me as a pitcher, if I throw my first pitch in, down and in, almost off the plate, and he pulls it foul like that, that tells me that he is open for anything away. I have made him conscious in.
Good movement. So now we can go away. 2 pitches inside.
Good pitchers, though. You know what? They get stubborn. You see, you ask the umpire, inside? They get stubborn. They love to. Sometimes they get that mantle. Not only want to get you out, sometimes they want to embarrass you.
Well, the one thing that Halliday wants to do right now, and we talked about the unknown here in Duda, he knows he's got power. He wants to keep the ball in the ball yard. Does not want to give it a 2-run home run. Make it a 6-5 Wago.
Two and 1 to Duda. And he fouls back that fastball away. 2-2. Lucas now 1 for 24 at the start of his major league career.
Well, we've seen every weapon from Halliday. What we haven't seen is the backdoor curveball. He's not used that the entire game against the left-handed hitters.
Duda pulls it, but on the ground right at Utley. And that retires the side. An infield hit and 1 left. 6 in the books at Citi Field. The Phillies up 6-3. Curb your enthusiasm. Premieres Monday night at 11:30 on Pix 11.
I didn't know Larry David had a revolution working. That's beautiful.
Lázaro Polanco will lead off the 7th inning for the Phillies. By the way, in Cleveland tonight, the Minnesota Twins, who scored 8 runs in the first inning, got shut out 2-0. That's the quickest game we've seen in a long time. Wow. They played an hour and 40 minutes. Gosh. It's Fausto Carmona pitching a complete game 3 hitter.
Gosh. Could have sworn there was 8 runs in the first.
You really put the evil eye on them tonight.
Yes, I did. That's a good point.
Luis Hernandez squeezes it and Polanco retired one away. Well, that snaps the Twins' 6-game winning streak and gives at least some hope to the White Sox, who had fallen 6 behind, the furthest they've been out since the middle of June.
Well, they played so well against the Boston Red Sox in that series, and then fell flat on their face in Detroit.
Beat by Rick Porcello last night.
He's pitched much better after coming back in the second half.
Sean Green up in the Mets bullpen. As Valdez, who has been terrific in relief, takes on Chase Utley, who lined one back to Valdez, first man he faced when he came out in the fifth. Henry Mejia lasted just 4 innings, allowed 6 runs and 9 hits in his second big league start. By the way, with Santana down, it means that Dylan G will get one more start, but there's no guarantee he's going to get more than that, as the Mets are still conscious of his innings and his injury history from last year, coming back from a torn labrum. But G will probably pitch the Monday night game against the Pirates here.
What's he get? He's around the 170 mark,
Yeah,
just short of that, right?
And I think if it hadn't been for the fact that he made only 9 starts last year because of the labrum injury, they would probably be allowing him to go unfettered. So we'll see. Breaking ball, Utley rips it deep right field toward the wall, and it's out of here. Chase Utley with his 13th home run of the year. And it's 7-3 Philadelphia.
Right down the corner.
So Howard and Utley have both homered tonight for the Phillies, and they've got both their big lefties back in a groove.
Hang in slider. Look at the quick bat right there. He's just ripped it, obviously.
So the Phillies, who had not homered at Citi Field this year, have a pair of them tonight. Now Howard, who hit his home run into the seats in left field in the 4th, and swings at the breaking ball. Video recap brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.com today.
Impressive power to the opposite field.
This one to center field and deep. Back goes Beltran to the track, looking up, and it's off the wall. Howard hustling to second, and he's in standing with a double.
Fastball, too much played enough. Off the base of the wall, nothing Beltran can do here but just play it nicely off the wall.
And that's going to be all for Raul Valdez after giving up booming shots to the 2 big lefties. Utley with a home run, Howard with a double. Sean Green comes out of the bullpen to face Jason Worth. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Wireless. The signal is yours. Wield it to transmit anything you want. John Green makes his second appearance since a long stint on the disabled list in the minor leagues.
Yeah, he appeared in one game in April for the Mets and then went on the disabled list and then appeared in 17 games for AAA Buffalo. Gave up a home run in that one game that he pitched in April.
It's to Dan Ugla, second game of the season, and then reappeared in Washington. 1-1 to Jason Worth, who's 2 for 3, 2 singles, and then he reached on an error. The Phillies have 12 hits in this game, and very few of them have been cheap. Slow ground ball, right charging this one, and this time his throw is on target to get Worth for the second out. Well, the Mets shut out the Phillies the first 4 games that they played here at Citi Field and held them to just 7 runs total in the 6 prior games. But tonight the Phillies have broken out. Raul Ibanez doubled over the head of Lucas Duda in left field in the second inning. Since then has flied out and struck out.
Charlie Manuel's tinkered with this lineup of late.
Mets are going to walk Ibanez intentionally, and Green will pitch to Ruiz with 2 men on.
But as I was saying.
What were you saying, by the way?
That Charlie Manuel tinkered with the lineup, and he had hit Worth in the 7th position and put Rollins, because he's hitting so well in the clutch in the 5th hole, and that seemed to work for him. But now with Rollins down, he's gone back to his usual lineup.
Well, it's really got the Phillies going. Ruiz takes the strike. Ruiz is 3 for 3 tonight. A base hit to each field. There are no fields left for him to get a hit to.
Wow.
Nice footwear.
That's got to be Jimmy Rollins.
Good call.
Has to be. Style master.
1-2 to Ruiz, who's driven in a run and scored a run tonight. And with the 3 hits, has his batting average up to .296. And no swing, 2-2. You know what Ruiz has become? He's become a somewhat lesser version of Yadier Molina.
Yeah. Yachty light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2-2. We inside. And a full count.
You know, you talk to any of the people associated with the Phillies, and they'll tell you that Ruiz, as he just gets out of the way of that baseball, that he has been such a stabilizing force with that staff. And also, we're talking about a guy when he first came up was criticized as a young person who couldn't call a game right. And he's gone defense first, and now his offense is catching up with it.
Runners go, and Ruiz fouls it off. And I'm not sure exactly where the standard is going to be set in catching in the National League. Molina's kind of in the gold standard, but now you got Buster Posey on the scene, and it throws an entire another wrinkle. And you got Brian McCann, another offensive catcher.
Yeah, Posey's still offense first, defense second. He's going to have to do the same thing that Ruiz did.
Again, the 3-2. Bounce foul.
But I'll tell you what, Ronnie, in San Francisco, Posey can throw.
He can throw.
He has great footwork as far as a strong arm to second base. And I love the way he swung the bat.
Well, Posey could be one of those rare catchers that someday down the road might be a batting champion kind of guy.
And the other guy in the league who's had a real bounce back season that we just saw is Soto in Chicago. I mean, he was a guy that a lot of people gave up on last year after a terrible sophomore season.
Yeah, rookie of the year, had a tough season, and he even admitted that he didn't pay attention to detail, did not work out like he did before his rookie year when he won that award, and had to get back to basics. And yeah, he has really improved. And the Cubs with Starlin Castro, even though he sometimes forgets how many outs there are, but they've got some talent over there.
Ninth pitch of the at bat coming to Ruiz, and he fouls off another one. Well, Howard and Ibanez getting to work out on the bases, running on these 3-2 pitches.
Well, sinker in, pulled foul from Ruiz. It's like a bad jukebox. Someone give it a kick.
Don't play B-17. And ball 4. So Ruiz wins that battle, works out the walk, and the bases are full for Valdez. So an intentional walk to Ibanez, followed by an unintentional walk to Ruiz, and the Phillies have a chance to blow the doors off this game. Up 7-3 in the 7th with the bases full. Wilson Valdez is 1 for 3, an infield single in the 4th. And was narrowly robbed of an extra base hit on a good play by Duda in the 6th, and he has to turn away from the inside fastball. 1-0. Howard at third, Ibanez at second, and Ruiz at first with 2 down. Two 2-0. Pat Mish on call in the Mets bullpen with the pitcher Halladay on deck. Green behind 2-0 with the bases full, and Valdez takes ball 3. And he just cannot command that fastball. It's not easy being Green. Not right now. Valdez will take one here, and it's behind him. That forces in a run, and it's 8-3 Philadelphia.
That ball hit him?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, Sean Green just completely clueless with his fastball.
Well, this stuff, because we just saw it, can happen at this level, but it's not supposed to happen.
How is he still in the game? Here's Halladay with the bases full, and he takes the slider off the plate for ball 1. Wow. Get him ready, Dan.
Get Halladay back in the box. You don't want the same thing to happen to him that happened to Valdez.
Well, you have to make Green throw a strike at this point. And he doesn't look like he's capable of doing it. And that's going to be it. So with a 2-0 count to the opposing pitcher with the bases loaded, Sean Green will be yanked after throwing 3 balls to Valdez and then hitting him in the rear end. 2-0 on Halladay, and that's the end of the line for Sean Green. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. The signal is yours. Wield it to transmit anything you want. 8-3 Phillies in the 7th. We'll be right back. out in the top of the 7th inning. He'll inherit a 2-0 count, which means he has 2 free pitches, because if there's a walk, it'll be charged to Sean Green. Exiting with a 2-0 count.
He's certainly not thinking about that. Pat Misch's got to throw a strike here. A couple of starts for the Mets. Didn't go that well for Pat, so back in the bullpen.
Well, not easy for Sean Green. Issues an intentional walk, an unintentional walk, and then throws 6 straight pitches out of the strike zone to cast his exit from the game. The 2 runs in the inning are charged to Raul Valdez. The 3 on base are all Green's responsibility. Halladay at the plate with a 2-0 count, with Ibanez, Ruiz, and Valdez on base. Halladay's already driven in 2 runs with a base hit today. Meanwhile, in Atlanta, the Braves have just tied up the Cardinals 4-4 on Martin Prado's 2-run double in the bottom of the 6th. So here's Misch's first pitch on 2-0, and it's a fastball strike.
Braves are magic in that ballpark this year.
Coming back against Carpenter. And Misch gets the count even, 2-2. Bases loaded, 2 out, 2-2 to Halladay. And he strikes him out. So Misch comes in, throws 3 pitches, and takes care of Halladay to clean up the mess. New York Mets base. Roy Halladay takes the mound for the bottom of the 7th. Luis Hernandez leads off for New York and takes a strike. Hernandez has grounded out and been hit by a pitch, 0 for 1. The Phillies 8 runs and 12 hits. The Mets 3 runs and 7 hits. Mets at one time had a 3-2 lead in this game. Bouncing ball, and Utley hurries in. 1 away. And Halladay starting to generate ground balls on a regular basis.
Well, that 5-run bulge loosened him up.
Here's Luis Castillo to pinch hit for Pat Misch. Elmer Descends getting ready in the bullpen.
By the way, the Braves have now taken the lead over in that game, huh? 6-4.
Can't lose at home. Carpenter getting touched up for 4 runs in that 6th inning.
But Carpenter and Wainwright have struggled the second half.
They have. They've given up leads that they've had before. Jaime Garcia in his last start gave up 7 runs in his start. So
Wainwright won last night, but has not been great of late.
Atlanta's looking for their 50th win at home.
And there you have the standings here. The Braves don't think they're not scoreboard watching.
Well, the Braves are in 2 races at once. A game behind the Phillies and a game in front of the Giants. Of course, the Giants are playing the Padres this weekend, having won the opener of that series last night. Strike 3 called. Castillo down looking. Only the 4th strikeout for Halladay and his first since the 2nd inning. Now Jose Reyes. Reyes in his return to the lineup, 1 for 3, doubled in a run back in the 3rd. Jose fouls back the first pitch fastball.
Reyes has taken the best at bats against Halladay all season long.
Well, he now has 8 hits and 18 career at bats against Halladay. And a good fastball crackles on the inside corner. 0-2. Halladay about to throw his 100th pitch of the night. 1-2 to Reyes. Pulled down to first. Nice backhand play by Howard. And Halladay covers. Side retired. Halladay getting in that late inning groove. He's got an 8-3 lead. Out of town scores brought to you by your local Lexus dealers. Alex Sanabia went 6 2/3 for the Marlins tonight, allowed no runs, 3 hits. They lead the Nats in the 8th. Homer Bailey, 7 innings, 5 hits, 9 strikeouts for the Reds. They're up 3-1 on the Pirates in the 8th. 2 runs scored on a sacrifice fly in that big 6th inning for the Braves. They're now up 7-4. Dodgers lead 1-0 over the Astros. That's in the 5th. Cubs lead the Brewers. Rockies trying for their 8th straight win, going with a 2-1 lead over the Diamondbacks in the 2nd. And it's a strike called to Victorino, 0-1.
Well, becoming everyday Elmer, as he has just been. What do you say about Elmer's season this year? He's been outstanding. Comes in, fearless, throws strikes, doesn't walk anybody, doesn't strike out anyone either.
Victorino lines one into left center. That's a base hit. Beltran gets over and cuts it off, and Victorino slams on the brakes. Leadoff single for Victorino. His second hit of the night. And the Phillies 13th. Here's Polanco, who's taking a 0 for 4. Polanco, the only Philly in the lineup tonight without a base hit. And he hits one out to right center. Pagan chasing over, and he makes the grab.
Boy, Pagan can certainly run down some balls. He's so quick.
He looks so comfortable, most comfortable in center field. He looks so comfortable in right field. Only left field really is his Achilles heel as far as playing the ball off the bat. Great read there.
So 1 out and 1 on. Here's Chase Utley, who drilled a home run into the seats in right field his last time up. Chad Durbin up in the Phillies bullpen. Halladay at 101 pitches through 7 innings. And I wonder whether they're going to start to preserve his innings a little bit as we come down the stretch of the season. Pursuant to what we were talking about earlier, the possibility that with postseason he's going to get to an innings plateau he's never seen before.
It's all the Perez warming up. The only problem, Gary, is they had a big lead last night, 10 runs, and gave it up late to get the 10-6 victory last night. So not as much confidence out there in the pen. When it compares to Halladay, of course.
By the way, Brad Lidge, who's suffering from a hyperextended elbow, did some throwing before the game today. We don't know if he's available or not for this game. They did activate Danny Baez off the disabled list, which makes them a little deeper. But there's definitely concern about that Philadelphia bullpen. Ryan Howard on deck.
But when you're throwing out 8, 9, 10 runs a game, it alleviates some of those concerns.
Brad Lidge hiding behind a pillar. No, not really.
He doesn't know he's hiding behind a pillar.
Two and 1 to Utley. He was 1 for 4 on the night. Well, there are the numbers on the Philadelphia bullpen. Not horrible, but certainly not what you'd like to have heading down the stretch in a pennant race.
And of course, 2 seasons ago, they were as good as a bullpen could be.
Look at all the blown saves.
Good off-speed pitch by Descends, and it's 2-2. I will say this: when Lidge has been available to pitch over the last 2 months, he's been pretty good. Yes. The problem is that with that elbow problem recurring, they've got to question whether he's going to be fully available down the stretch and into a possible postseason. Utley pops one up. David Wright has the call. And the catch, 2 away.
But we keep talking about the Phillies having some question marks here or there. Rollins with the hamstring injury from yesterday's game. And still, if they win this ball game, they've won 9 of their last 11. They do a good job of playing with who they got available.
Since July the 22nd, the Phillies are 33-14. For a large chunk of that time, Chase Utley was out. For a large chunk of that time, Ryan Howard was out.
But they have a history of this. They've been doing this for the past few seasons. They play great down the stretch.
Here's Howard, who's hit 2 bolts tonight. A homer into the seats in left and a double off the center field fence. Out to left field, and Duda has it lined up. That retires the side. The Sens gives up a leadoff hit and nothing more. To the bottom of the 8th, 8-3 Philadelphia. Head to MCU Park in Brooklyn Sunday at 5 o'clock for the pivotal Game 2 of the New York Penn League Championship Series. Get your tickets online at brooklyncyclones.com or call 718-507-TIXX. Nice job by Wally Backman and his Cyclones. They were down 1-0 in their best-of-3 series. In the semifinals, came back and won games 2 and 3. Braves keep pouring it on. 6 runs home in that 6th inning. And leading 8-4 over the Cardinals. Pagan is 0 for 3. Grounded out twice and fly to center. Well, the Phillies have their bullpen active, but Halladay still in there chucking here in the 8th inning. He's got 8 complete games this year. And in an era where complete games are at a premium, he's the dinosaur.
Yeah. He's about to go 12-1 against National League East teams.
Well, I guess it's he and the National League and Cliff Lee when he's at his best in the American League. Lee's trying to come back for some back problems.
Chad Durbin up in the bullpen. Well, the Phillies could have had both of them this year.
Yeah.
Back to the mound. And Halladay throws out Pagan one away. But if they had had Cliff Lee here, they would probably not have Roy Oswalt here. And Oswalt has been terrific since the Phillies got him.
5-1.
I liked his stinging comment he made after the last game. He goes, I'm not used to winning the game when I give up 4 runs.
That's the truth.
Yep.
Carlos Beltran had a 2-run homer in the 3rd inning, and he yanks this one foul. Carlos hit his home run to a place where home runs are rarely hit in this ballpark, over the Modell sign in right field.
It's like Pittsburgh's mounting a little 9th inning rally here. They got men on base against the Redlegs.
3-2, 2 on and 1 out.
Fun time of year, and the National League is full of teams you can scoreboard watch with. It's just really every division.
0-2 to Beltran on the inside corner, and he got him. That is 5 strikeouts for Halladay, and all 5 have been on call 3rd strikes.
Well, sitting on 200 strikeouts for the season. This is number 201. That fastball that starts right in the inside corner and takes a right turn.
How about the game in Toronto tonight? Tampa Bay scored 6 in the top of the first, built an 8-1 lead, and Toronto's come back to tie that game in the 8th. As is generally the case, it's the home run ball for the Blue Jays. They've hit 4 of them tonight. Jose Bautista has 2. He now has 46.
What? Wow. What a year.
Ike Davis 1 for 3 on the night, and he takes in tied 1-1. Ryota Igarashi up in the Mets bullpen, getting ready to pitch the top of the ninth. Halliday's retired 12 of the last 13 batters to face him. The only man to reach in that span, Josh Thole, an infield hit in the 6th. So as is usually the case, Halliday putting the pedal to the metal after getting the lead. And Davis bounces one off his leg. Mets scored 3 runs in the 3rd inning. Reyes doubled in a run. Beltran hit a 2-run homer. The Mets had a 3-2 lead. But the Phillies regained the lead in the 4th. And Halliday has been masterful since. Two and 2 to Davis. Halliday up to 115 pitches. He's thrown as many as 132 in a game this year. And Davis cracks one to left center field. That's an extra base hit going to the wall. And Ike has his 2nd hit of the night and his 28th double of the year.
Look at Ike choking up 2 inches. That is he's done it 2 at bats tonight. This is something I haven't seen. Look at that. Very interesting.
He's been a changed hitter lately. So many balls to left field now, effectively.
Well, that's until you start swinging. They're going to make a pitching change here. It looks like Charlie Manuel out to the mound. But until you change, and you're going to continue to take that outside pitch and not attack it, they're going to throw it out there.
So Halliday is done after 7 2/3 and 116 pitches tonight. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. The signal is yours. Wield it to transmit anything you want.
Know if he's going to ice or not. Nice line so far. Of course, he's got a runner on and Davis at 2nd base to account for. And he hopes Chad Durbin can retire David Wright. David Wright has a home run off Chad, but other than that, it's been Chad Durbin who has retired him the other 9 times.
So Halliday's now made 30 starts this year. He's gone 6 innings or more in 29 of them. And the other, he went 5 2/3. So he's not quite Fred Myers in that regard, but he's right there with him. David Wright, the batter, has gone 0 for 3 tonight. Now 0 for his last 13. Meanwhile, in Cincinnati, the Pirates get an RBI single from Pedro Alvarez in the top of the ninth, and they've tied up the Reds 3-3. Lone save for Francisco Cordero.
And the Reds, after getting a 4-game sweep in Colorado, really need that game.
Well, although they're getting helped by the Braves tonight. With the Braves leading the Cardinals, that's now 8-5 in the 7th.
Don't want to start any losing streaks in September. Extended losing streaks.
Start doubting yourself as a team.
Always one great fear in teams, that is, you don't want to choke in September.
Yeah.
Wright takes low for ball 1.
Durbin usually features that running sinker inside, a cutter outside, good change and curveball.
Hit hard, base hit. Davis around third and heading in. David Wright with an RBI single, and it cuts the Phillies' lead to 8-4. So David snaps an 0 for 13 and drives in his 92nd run of the year.
Well, fastball up middle.
Rondez came up to throw, but the play with a 4-run lead is to get that ball to second base.
So that run is charged to Halladay. His book is now closed as J.C. Romero gets up in the Phillies bullpen. So Halladay gives up 4 runs and 8 hits over 7 2/3. Here's Josh Tolley, who's 3 for 3, and he yanks one foul.
Nice play. Bring your glove. You never know. Might have saved Mom to his right.
Mom's happy. That's why Mom brought him. Make sure that I'm safe, kid. There you go.
Oh, that's great.
Tolley's 3 for 3 tonight, including a couple of infield hits. Off-speed pitch by Durbin, and it's 0-2. Tolley's had 1 4-hit game in his career, and it was last year against the Phillies. So now he finds himself in a 2-strike hole.
Another big choke up guy right here. Choking that bat.
Lucas Duda would be next. Slow bouncing ball. And Utley comes in and tosses out Tolley to end the inning. Mets get a run on David Wright's RBI single, but trail 8-4 after Life costs more without free score. Mets were up 3-2 in this game. They trail 8-4 as we go to the ninth. Ryota Igarashi comes in to pitch the ninth inning for New York.
Well, Igarashi struggled in his last outing in Washington, of course, known for giving up the grand slam to Espinosa. Try to right the ship here tonight.
Jason Worth to lead off for the Phillies in the ninth. It'll be Worth and Ibanez and Ruiz. The Phillies with 8 runs and 13 hits. They got 6 runs and 9 hits off Henry Mejia in his 4 innings of work. Worth is 2 for 4, singled twice, scored 2 runs, and takes a curveball for a strike, 0-1. Igarashi, the 6th Met pitcher used tonight. And he gets ahead on Worth 0-2. This has been really a lost season for Igarashi. Of the 2 Japanese pitchers the Mets brought over this year, Isanori Takahashi had by far the more storied career of the 2. But the Mets felt as though Igarashi had a much bigger upside. However, it just has not come to pass that way. Takahashi has been extremely valuable. Igarashi has had a rough year. Igarashi was signed to a 2-year deal. Takahashi got 1 year and was given the option to walk away at the end of the season. He can be a free agent.
Well, he's going to be pursued by a lot of teams.
One and 2 to Jason Worth. And that splitter nowhere close. 2-2.
Upside, never understand that. I mean, I understand it with younger players, but we're talking about a player who has a large track record in Japan.
Igarashi is 30 years old.
So the upside is that he can throw hard.
And he uses that fastball to strike out Worth for the first out.
Upside for Takahashi. Said he can throw 3 different pitches for strikes, and he's fearless.
And he has only enhanced his value, Takahashi has, over the last few weeks by walking into the closer's role, and he's 5 for 5.
Long man, start, 8th inning, closer. He's done it all on this ball club.
Here's Ibanez, 1 for 3 and a walk. Doubled and scored back in the second. And fouls that one off Tolley's helmet and back. Well, Matt Holliday just drove in another run. It's now Atlanta 8, St. Louis 6 in the 7th inning. Funny how sometimes as you get into September and you've got more and more pitchers to go to, the quality of the relief pitching gets worse and worse. Because now you're not using your 10th, 11th, and 12th pitchers. You're using your 13th, 14th, and 15th best pitchers.
Yeah, when it's early in the game, I think what you should do with those extra pitchers when they come up from AAA or AA, they take up those innings that you don't want your good pitchers taking up. And I'm talking about if you're getting routed or you're routing someone. 4, 5, 6, 7 run lead. Then you pitch those guys. Try to keep your guys fresh.
And Ibanez just got a piece to hang in there. get your attention.
Unintentional. Igarashi's just been overthrowing that fastball all year long.
Carlos Ruiz on deck. Igarashi's gone to 3-2 on Ibanez. Tapper. Igarashi throws past the runner and in time. 2 out.
Well, nice play here by Igarashi. Remember that his season was derailed earlier in the season on a kind of not a swinging bunt, but a bunt play where he pulled his hamstring. But nice play there on Ibanez.
Coming up next on Picks 11, it's the Picks News at 10. Coming up after the game, you can flip it over to SNY for Lincoln Mercury post-game live. All the highlights, interviews, analysis on SNY right after the game. Carlos Ruiz has not been retired tonight. 3 for 3 in a walk. He's driven in a run. He's scored a run. So each catcher has 3 hits in the game. Jose Contreras on the left and Ryan Madsen on the right up in the Phillies bullpen. It's not going to be a save situation, but even if it were, Lidge is probably not available tonight. Ruiz lays off 2-2.
Look, what's interesting for me in a night that Utley and Howard have hit home runs and that the Mets have scored 4 runs against Holiday is that when the Mets staff sits down after the game tonight, how do you evaluate Henry Mejia and what he's done in 2 big league starts after really dominating the minor leagues?
Tonight he threw a lot of fastballs in the middle of the plate and was unable to throw anything else for a strike.
He's only 20 years old, so that factors in.
Well, he threw a couple hangers too. He got hurt on also.
He's just got a piece.
I guess that's what always happens in September when you're not in the pennant race, is that you have to at some point evaluate your people and who can play and who can't.
But then again, there's also an old baseball adage, which is that never evaluate off what you see in March and never evaluate off what you see in September.
Okay, temper it then. Only take about 65% of it, 70% of it.
Well, I think you could probably make better negative judgments off what you see in September than you can positive judgments.
Boy, Ruiz has had some long at bats, hasn't he?
Had a 10-pitch at bat to draw a walk in the 7th. He's already seen 7 pitches in this at bat.
I think the one thing you can do, though, Gary and Keith, is that you can evaluate and at the end of the season be able to instruct on things for a player to work on, to get better, to play at this level at a high level.
Well, certainly, when it comes to Mejia and looking forward, there's a wrinkle that may well affect him now with the injury to Santana. Not knowing whether he's going to be ready for opening day next year. It certainly creates doubt, if not a surefire opening in that rotation. Ball 4, and Ruiz is on again. 5 times in a row, Ruiz has reached base. A 2-out walk in the 9th. So now Wilson Valdez was 1 for 3 and was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded in the 7th.
You know, getting lost in the translation for Igarashi, and it's so evident if you watch him pitch, is that I think he'd be much more effective if he threw 90 and 91 and concentrated on throwing the ball to his spots, as opposed to rearing back and trying to throw the ball through the brick wall.
Ronnie, just look at his neck when he throws, and his head is he's tilting his head. He's overthrowing. How can you be focused on the target?
Well, when you tilt your head, the ball wants to go where your head is tilted to. And that's why when he's missing to outside to those right-handed hitters, you need to get it, everything channeled through the plate.
See, that was a curveball, and it wasn't as pronounced.
Because he's not trying to overthrow that. He knows the spin itself will get him a called strike if he throws it in the strike zone. I would advise the same way with his fastball. Don't try to throw it 94. Throw it 92 to a spot. Sink the fastball once in a while. But you know, when you have a great arm, sometimes when you've had a tough season, you want to reveal it and show what you can do with that great arm. And it's all about, at this level, getting outs. It always has been, always will be. Every once in a while, there's a generation of pitchers who can strike out the world. But on this level, it's getting outs. And his compatriot Takahashi has done it unbelievable this year.
Hit to second base for Luis Hernandez. He throws out Valdez to end the inning. A walk and one left. Now to the bottom of the 9th with the Phillies up 8-4. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Toyota. It's the Now's the Time sales event at your Toyota dealers. Hurry, offers end soon. By Time Warner Cables, all the best triple play. By Cadillac, visit CadillacTristate.com. By PNC for the achiever in us all. By Delta, keep climbing. And by Dodge, visit Dodge.com or see your local Dodge dealers today. Last of the 9th inning, Ryan Madson on to try to complete it for the Phillies.
Well, Ryan Madson has been such a valuable part of that bullpen. You see the games are down. 44 games. Well, a broken toe cost him a lot of time this season. But he's come back and has pitched pretty well. He has never been in the saves and save opportunities. Never really has great numbers there, but has been a great kind of long man and 8th inning man for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Lucas Duda, Luis Hernandez in the pitcher's spot due up for the Mets in the last of the 9th. Duda 0 for 3 tonight, now 1 for 25 to begin his major league career.
Keith, this young man needs a knock.
Yes, he does.
Right?
He's swinging. He's been a little bit just tardy.
And Madsen starts the last of the ninth, missing low and away for ball one. Colorado's up 3-1 early on Arizona. That's in the third. Rockies going for their 8th straight tonight.
See, Daniel Hudson won the game last night for Arizona. He and Barry Enright now have won 11 ball games between them.
Well, that gives the Diamondbacks some hope because they certainly have talented young position players. What they need is that kind of young pitching.
And Brandon Webb to somehow make it back. Yeah. I don't know if that's going to happen, but
I don't know if they're going to want to sign him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be a free agent after this year.
Well, they signed him this year just to keep him around, hoping that he would come back, and it didn't work out.
Two and one to Duda.
You're right, Keith. He threw that ball right by him. But, I mean, 94 miles an hour. But
I think he's pressing.
Yeah,
you don't think he doesn't look up that scoreboard and see that batting average. It's tough.
Just like to get on the interstate.
Yeah, well, it's just, you know, I mean, everyone envisions when they come up to the major leagues that they're going to hit, you know, 300 for at least the first month.
Well, you don't envision a one for.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's tough.
Get your little league coaches calling you, telling you what to do.
Popped up. Valdez. One out. So one away in the last of the ninth. Now Luis Hernandez will come to bat. Chris Carter out on deck to pinch hit. Hernandez tonight 0 for 2, and he's been hit by a pitch. Got off to a pretty good start against Halliday tonight. Put together a 3-run third inning, but didn't manage anything else until the Phillies had built a big lead. Halliday went 7 2/3, wound up being charged with 4 runs and 8 hits. Chad Durbin got the final out in the 8th, and now Madsen trying to finish it off in the 9th. Tomorrow, Mike Pelfrey goes for the Mets, and Kyle Kendrick will pitch for the Phillies. Charlie Manuel was faced with a choice for tomorrow's start. You see Carter on deck. Vance Worley, who has made one big league start, or Kendrick, who's really struggled lately. And I think he was probably swayed by the fact that Kendrick pitched a terrific game against the Mets earlier this year. 3-0 now to Hernandez. And so Kendrick gets the ball tomorrow, and then Roy Oswalt against Jonathan Neese on Sunday.
It's Kyle in between Cole Hamels and Roy Oswalt.
These pitchers always hang out together. Except for you and Coney.
Me and Coney?
Yeah, you had friends who weren't pitchers.
Oh, yeah. That's true. Very true.
Most of those pitchers, though, it's like a flock. Utley on the backhand and makes the running toss. 2 out.
Nice play by Chase. He does that so smoothly. That's because you got good hands. Nice backhand. The throw's the easy part.
He uses a bigger glove than your average second baseman.
Yeah, he does. I think that is the trend anyways with infielders. They're using a little more leather.
So the Mets are down to their final out of the night. Chris Carter coming up to pinch hit. Carter takes a strike, 1-1. Game's underway in San Diego. Giants and Padres, no score in the bottom of the first. There's Ed Hearn. on Neff Cure night here at Citi Field. Bringing a lot of attention to kidney disease and folks who need help. Chris Carter comes through with a pinch hit single and keeps the night going. And the Mets have their 10th hit of the ball game. Now Jose Reyes, who made his return to the lineup tonight after missing 13 games, has gone 1 for 4. Drove in a run with a third inning double. Johnson wants a new baseball. Now he's got 2. Got to give one back. And Reyes takes a strike. The Mets were trying to do something that they have not done since the middle of June, and that's win a third straight game. Doesn't look like it's going to come to pass tonight. Reyes lifts one to shallow center. Victorino coming on, and the ball game is over. So the Phillies take the opener of this weekend series, guaranteeing them another day alone in first place. As Roy Halladay does enough with the bat, and on the mound, home runs by Utley and Howard negate a home run by Beltran, and the Phillies win 8-4.
Well, great job by Halladay tonight. He might not have had his best stuff, but he is a winning pitcher. Driving in a couple, getting his 18th win, which ties for the National League high. Henry Mejia just didn't have it tonight. Struggled all game long, and Howard and Utley, as they tend to heat up here in September, each with a home run.
Game summary was brought to you by Chrysler. Visit Chrysler.com today. Our next Picks telecast will be a week from Sunday when the Mets host the Braves at 1 o'clock. Next SNY telecast this Sunday as the Mets play the Phillies starting at 12:30. Coming up next, the Picks News at 10. Now for Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, Kevin Burkhardt, and our entire crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. We'll see you Sunday on SNY.